After the terrible disappointment that the Flick Twist was when it launched a few months back, when Linxura asked to send over their new smart dial for review, I said yes, because I wanted to see if someone could actually get this category of device right, because it could actually be genuinely useful in our smart homes. And I thought, surely it's not possible to make a worse product than the Flick Twist, right? Linxura's whole shtick with this is that they want to do away with the need for multiple hubs and smart home apps, and that you should be able to control everything from this. In fact, the name of this is the Linxura Smart Controller. So they think that you should be able to control all of your devices in your smart home with this one small pucked shaped device, which I think is something that we can all agree is a good idea. But that all depends on the execution, which we are going to get into after we look at the hardware. The Linxura is a small pucked shaped device, similar in size to the Flick Twist, and also similar to the Twist, it has a rotating dial for controlling devices that aren't just a simple on or off switch, like volume controls or blinds, curtains, that type of thing. In addition to the dial though, there is also 4 buttons for click events too, and then in the center there is a small display which can show up to 4 devices to control along with the battery life status, which is quoted as up to 3 months on a single charge because that display is e-ink for really low power usage, and it's charged via the USB-C port on the side. The hardware itself is nice, I would say. The only issue I do have here is that when you're using the dial, it's very easy for your finger to slip as it's rotating. It's kind of hard to capture on camera, but if you're rotating it, the dial will only kind of activate, I'd say around 85% of the time, with the rest of the time your fingers kind of slipping on the dial. This might be something that improves over time as it gets less slippery, but it is a little annoying. Unfortunately, that's kind of where anything good I have to say about the Linxura ends, because I don't think I've ever seen a real life product that you can actually buy today with your own money as unfinished as this. So much so that it's difficult to even know where to begin. As mentioned, the whole premise of this product is that it aims to get rid of the need for hubs and apps from all of the different smart home devices and let you control everything from the dial. But I don't know how they plan on doing that with a grand total of just 6 integrations. Not 60, not 16, 6. Sure, 2 of them are Google Home and Amazon, but there is no HomeKit, no Aqara, no SwitchBot, no way to control Zigbee or Z-Wave or Thread devices, or really anything. And you're probably thinking, yeah, but Google Home and Amazon probably covers most situations, right? Well, firstly, the Amazon integration doesn't seem to work in the UK at all, with it giving me just an error message, so that was out of the window. And then Google Home does work, but oh boy, it's a bad experience. For context, the way it works is that you can add multiple devices to the Linxura to control by using the Linxura app, which will add them to the display so that you can see what you're controlling. In the app, you can name the device and give it an icon to make it clearer, which I do like, and then you can assign a smart home platform to each of the button actions, which are click, double click, clockwise twist, and counterclockwise twist. So far, so good. Where the wheels come off though is in the Google Home app, where each of the 4 actions for each device are passed through into the Google Home app as their own individual devices, which then allows you to create automations for them, which is where multiple problems occur. Firstly, when you do a single or double click for a device, it will turn to on in Google Home, which is what you would expect. However, within a few seconds, it will automatically turn itself off again, making it impossible to make a simple automation that turns a light on and off with just one action, since Google Home lacks a toggle action. You can get around this by having a single click for on and a double click for off, but that uses up 2 actions just on turning something on or off, not taking into account other things that you might want to do with that device like brightness, color control, or temperature. The next big thing is in the dial. It's completely unusable in Google Home. See, the dial action is exposed as a simple on or off device, so you rotate it clockwise or counterclockwise and it just says on. It doesn't give you any position information, no amount of steps taken or anything like that, making it pretty difficult to use for its intended purpose, like volume control or position. And even if it did expose this information, Google Home just doesn't have a way to even use that information in automations. If you create an automation with the dial rotating clockwise, the only option you get is to set light brightness to a predetermined position and not move it up or down by a number of rotations. The best I could really come up with is a clockwise rotation sets it to 100% brightness and a counterclockwise rotation is 50%, which completely defeats the purpose of having a dial since I could do that with just a regular click. Now, if you're thinking, yeah, but Lewis, all of those things are the fault of Google Home and not Linxura, you'd be mostly right, but that is completely irrelevant. End users just do not care whose fault it is, they just want the end result to actually work, and Linxura was the one that decided to spend development time and money making Google Home work, and as it is, this device is completely unusable with Google Home. All of this pales in comparison, however, to my biggest complaint with Linxura, the lag between button being pressed and action actually happening is truly the stuff of smart home nightmares. It is absolutely horrific. At best, it can be 4 to 5 seconds between pressed action, and at worst, I frequently saw a good 10 to 15 seconds between anything happening, which is completely unacceptable and unusable for devices such as lights or media players where you want that immediate, fast, snappy response. Because they have opted for a cloud control, and that really shows, with absolutely no option for local control or API access. I'm also really confused by where it is that you're meant to use this thing. In the marketing video for it, they show it off as being this portable controller that you kind of carry around with you from room to room to control devices in that room, but two issues with that. Firstly, getting users to remember to carry that around with them all of the time will be a challenge in and of itself, and then getting them to put it back where it belongs is a whole other situation. But secondly, there isn't a way for Linxura users to know which room it's actually in if you move around. And the only way to access more than 4 devices on the first page is to use the dial to navigate through different pages, which gets incredibly cumbersome if you have even a small amount of devices to get through. Just 20 devices, for example, is 5 pages of navigation to try and get through, each of which you need to try and remember what each button does and kind of what it controls and where it is, and it's just super messy. The display at least updates frequently, which can be an issue with e-ink, which is nice, but yeah, if you have any more than 4 or 8 devices at an absolute max, this isn't the way. Other things I didn't like were the backlight being extremely temperamental and it not recognizing when it was actually dark, or it being on, the backlight was actually on, and then just completely turning off when I was literally in the middle of using it, turning the dial. I also didn't really like the way that you access the dial for a device, which is to press and hold the device, wait for it to change, and then you can use the dial. It just feels really slow. And then on the app side, firstly, there is no Android app available at all, for me at least, despite the website saying that there is. Just doesn't show up at all, which is kind of a bummer. The app is also very unfinished, with several coming soon messages for things like adding time control to scenes. All of this to say, this is a completely unfinished product at this stage, and you should not buy this at the price of $99. I actually didn't know it was possible to ship a product more unfinished than what the Flick Twist did when it first launched, but somehow Linxura did it. This actually put me in a really conflicted position. On the one hand, I don't like to rag on companies like this, especially when they are a small startup and actual real humans worked hard on this, as I know how difficult that can be. But on the other hand, this genuinely made me so angry to see this product exist like this, because I know that some poor person just getting into the smart home ecosystem is going to see this, not know what to look for, spend actual real money on it, and have a terrible time, and then have their opinion of what a smart home can be tainted forever. And at the end of the day, all I really care about is keeping you guys, the viewer, informed, helping you spend your money wisely. My only duty of care and the only thing that matters to me is you, the viewer, And so if I can help at least someone out there to avoid spending money on bad products, then that's what I'm going to choose to do every day of the week. And at the end of the day, Linxura was the one that chose to release this at a time when they could have just waited and refined it a bit longer. It's a real shame because I do think the hardware is nice and it does have potential. It's entirely the software letting it down. And of course, there is a chance that it could get better over time, but I can only review it as it is now, since remember, this is a product that you can actually buy right now, not a Kickstarter or a crowdfunded product, but you can just straight up buy it from their website. I would personally like to see Linxura halt sales on this and put some real time and effort into improving the integrations they have. This really desperately needs more integrations before it will even be remotely useful. And they really need to fix the speed and the lag issue too, because that is a massive problem. I would also love to see them implement a local API, because then I can almost guarantee that if they do that, someone from the community will help them out with a Home Assistant integration, again, if the speed issue is resolved. This does have the potential, but they are going to really have to work hard on this to gain some trust back from me personally. Anyways, that is my PSA about the Linxura Smart Dial. I hope you found it useful. If you are perhaps looking at picking up this device, then I would probably look at something else much cheaper. Just chuck an Aqara wireless remote or a Shelly button or anything else like that into each room and call it a day. It will serve you much better than this will, unfortunately. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. This is probably not going to be a great performing video actually, so if you can help me out and the almighty algorithm with a comment down below, that would be amazing. Thank you so much for watching. Drop this video a like and get subscribed if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video.